How you doing, guys? This is Eric from RuleTheWasteland.com. Recently I did a video about bartering and how even though I don't think that it's very likely that a situation will arise where you would need to barter or where bartering will be very useful or make a lot of sense, it is a possibility. So I got into some of the things that I don't think you should barter for or with if a situation like that does arise, and I explained why. And so this video is going to be going into the things that I think you should barter with if that situation ever does arise, which I don't think it necessarily will, but it's worth thinking about if you're going to be serious about preparedness. And so, as I mentioned in that past video, the basic principle is, contrary to what may seem like a good idea, is you probably don't want to try bartering with the things that will be absolutely sought after by all the desperate people. So the things that people really need to survive, the necessities that people are going to be desperate for and do anything and would probably kill you for, that's what I recommend not trying to barter with for a couple reasons. Like I already mentioned, one is if it's a situation where that type of things like food and medicine is that sought after, it'd be best for you to just keep it for yourself. Why would you want to trade away something that's that valuable? Second of all, that'll put trading, if you do decide to trade things like that, or attempt to anyways, it'll put a big target on your back. If you become a source where people know that, you have extra food, or they think you do, or extra medicine, or something that they're addicted to, probably not a great idea. So what should you trade for? So I think you should trade for comfort items, or I'm sorry, trade with comfort items for the necessities or other things that you may need. So I wouldn't trade away your necessities, but if you try to get more of them, maybe you can, or other things that you hadn't thought of. With comfort and luxury items that aren't an absolute necessity, but are still very well sought after in any sort of disaster scenario. So one would be beverage powders and coffee. I know from experience that in lots of military training and other camping type situations, people very quickly get tired of just drinking water. They're so used to drinking sodas, teas, coffee, sports drinks, that something as simple as a powdered beverage mix for a sports drink, or certainly for coffee, can have a huge impact on people's morales, and to some level people are addicted to these things like caffeine and coffee, and so they will crave it, not in the same way that they may crave cigarettes or drugs, but they'll definitely have a strong desire to get these things back into their body, and if they're doing without it, they will be willing to trade things probably for them that far exceed the actual value of any sort of beverage powder or coffee, especially if you're buying it now when it's super cheap and super plentiful. So that's one thing to look into too, is beverage powders and coffee. Another one would actually be alcohol. Now, sort of may seem contrary to what I said in the last video, to trade for things that people are addicted to, which is probably not the best idea. And I would be careful to try to avoid trading alcohol or booze with anyone who is doing so because they're addicted or an alcoholic. But most people, most adults in this country do partake in alcoholic beverages, and just like with the coffee and with the beverage powders, it's something that people might miss even though they're not addicted to it. It would be great for relaxation, stressful times, and also hard alcohols like vodka and whiskey may have other purposes beyond, such as disinfectant, beyond just drinking. So they have some use there, and it's something that stores a long time. You don't have to worry about it going bad if it's a hard liquor, and so that may be useful for you as well, even if you don't ever have the opportunity to trade it away. Another one would be toilet paper, something that is not absolutely necessary. It's useful for you if you don't ever trade it away. You can always use it even if nothing goes wrong, but it's definitely a comfort item that people would really love to have, but probably don't have a lot of stored in their home. It's consumable, so what people do have would be used up quickly, so if you had extra, may go a long way in convincing someone to trade for something that you need if you have a little extra toilet paper lying around for them. Another one would be comfort foods, not necessity foods like rice or meats or anything like that, but just like with the beverage powders, maybe something like gum or a little hard candy, something that'll last a long time so it's not going to rot or melt in your storage, but maybe just be that little bit of something extra. Along with that, you could have comfort items like deck of cards, maybe some small books, writing utensils, things like that. Things that aren't going to be absolutely necessary for survival, but extremely useful and highly desired. Another one would be Bic lighters. I actually read an account by someone who was in another country, in a city under siege for about a year, in a Eastern Asian country, Eastern European country. Western Asian, Eastern European, don't remember which one. But Bic lighters were something that were incredibly sought after because they have thousands of lights in them. It's an easy way to start a fire, and in the absence of electricity or other fire starting methods, it's a lot easier to use a Bic lighter. They last for a long time. They're super cheap now, and they're something that you could use too if you don't ever end up trading it, which you may start to see a theme here. It definitely makes sense that if you're going to store something that you might want to trade, it might as well be something that you're also going to be able to use if you don't end up trading it. There's not really any point in storing up stuff that just for trade if it's something that you're never going to use. Something like, you know, like the alcohol. If you're never going to use the alcohol, I don't recommend storing it. But if you may use it anyway, then it makes sense to have a little extra on hand anyway. You can certainly trade it away because it's not a necessity for you, but if you don't trade it away, you'll still be able to use it. And beyond that, just low-level tools that may get worn out, or clothing like boots and gloves. Something that people may have one or two of, but in any long-term scenario, you're going to start to see those things wear out. And these type of items would be perfect for trading with the perfect type of person to trade with, which is someone who may be sort of like yourself and be squared away in the basic necessities, but just these little things that they're missing. Because you don't really want to trade with someone who is totally not squared away, only has a week left of supplies to their name, is going to be destitute again in another week because they're just going to come back to you probably begging or try to take it from you by force. You want to look for people to trade with who don't, you know, aren't super desperate, don't need the bare necessities, and are just need these little extra things, or would like these little extra things, and are willing to give up some extra things that they have in exchange for. Maybe things that you didn't even think of, or something of yours that broke, or maybe they have a garden or certain livestock, and you can develop a system of trade with them over things like that. So I wouldn't recommend having things that you think, oh, people are going to be so desperate and they're going to need food and cigarettes so badly, because those are not the type of people you want to be trading with, and you don't want to be trading with anyone under those circumstances because it's just dangerous. And if these are items that you're not going to be using anyway, then there's no point in having them. And if they're necessity items, then there's no point in giving them away. So it's just my thoughts on possible barter situations in any shit hit the fan or economic collapse situation. Even though I think that that's unlikely, it is worth thinking about. The previous video link will be in the description if you haven't seen that one yet, on the items that you should barter if that ever comes to it. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you later.